This railway is doing something no one expected. It's killing sea trade. What used to take 40 hours now takes less than 5. And it's reshaping the entire map of Southeast Asia, built by Chinese engineers. For decades, the rugged mountains of Laos were more than just a landscape. They were a geographic prison. With only 7 kilometers of dilapidated railway in the entire country, Laos was the only landlocked nation in Southeast Asia, isolated, forgotten, and economically suffocated. But today the prison walls are falling. A 1,035-kilometer artery of high-grade steel and concrete has pierced through the roof of Indochina, executing a radical shift from landlocked to land-linked. This is the China-Laos Railway, a $6 billion geopolitical gamble that is rewriting the rules of global trade. As we enter 2026, the numbers are staggering. Over 72.5 million tons of cargo have already pulsed through this corridor, carrying more than 3,800 categories of goods, from sophisticated electronics to fresh agricultural exports. While the sleek Lancong EMU trains race at 160 kilometers per hour, the stakes are even higher than the mountains they tunnel through. This project isn't just about shortening a trip from days to a mere 10 hours. It's about a small nation balancing on a thin rail between unprecedented prosperity and a massive sovereign debt, nearly half of its GDP. Is this the dawn of a new Asian era, or a golden cage of infrastructure? Let's dive into the details. In the high-stakes world of global engineering, every project has its enemies, usually gravity, weather, or budget. But for the 1,035-kilometer China-Laos Railway, the first enemy was a ghost. Between 1964 and 1973, Laos became the most heavily bombed nation per capita in history, with over 2 million tons of ordnance dropped across its landscape. Before a single sleeper could be laid, teams had to clear an estimated 80 million unexploded submunitions, still lurking in the shadows of the jungle. Commander-in-Chief Li Bin describes the early days as an invisible war, where demoners and local militias had to lead the way on foot, inching forward through no man's land because the terrain was too dangerous for heavy machinery to enter. For engineering head Liu Xianli, the fear of a hidden bomb detonating under a tunnel-boring machine was a daily psychological burden that defined the first phase of construction. Once the ground was cleared, the real battle against the roof of Indochina began. This is a journey through 167 bridges and 75 massive tunnels in the Laos section alone, representing 62% of the entire route. The map reveals a staggering complexity. The 9.59-kilometer Friendship Tunnel, which literally stitches two nations together, with 7.17 kilometers on the Chinese side and 2.42 kilometers reaching into Laos. But the crown jewel of difficulty was the Anding Tunnel, a 17,476-meter monster that forced engineers to innovate in ways never seen in Chinese railway history. They weren't just digging, they were fighting high rock temperatures, toxic gases, and water inrush. The engineering drama reached its peak at the Mekong River. Crossing the mother of rivers required the construction of 2 super-major bridges near Luang Prabang. The Luang Prabang Bridge, spanning 1,458 meters with 34 massive spans, was a masterpiece of precision, completed 7 months ahead of schedule despite the turbulent currents. Further north, the Ban Laden Bridge stands as a testament to height, with its tallest pier reaching 57.5 meters into the sky, the highest in the entire project. Yet the greatest challenge wasn't just the height or the depth, it was the living rock. In the Hawaii Fulai Tunnel, what the Chinese engineers faced was Class 5 soft rock, which deformed at a rate of 10 centimeters per day. Imagine the pressure. As fast as you dig, the mountain tries to swallow you back. Chinese engineers not only conquered this tunnel through the detour parallel guidance method, they also tamed it, transforming a geological nightmare into a 160 kilometers per hour steel corridor. To understand the scale of this project, we must look beyond the steel and stone. By the end of 2025, the China-Laos Railway has officially evolved into the Golden Corridor of Southeast Asia. The data is staggering. As of early 2026, this 1,035-kilometer artery has pulsed with over 76.8 million tons of cargo, and the numbers are climbing faster than the trains themselves. We are no longer talking about just rubber and fertilizer. Today, more than 3,800 categories of goods, from sophisticated Chinese photovoltaic modules to high-end electronics and fresh-tied durians, are flowing across this border. At the Moan Railway Port, what used to be a 40-hour customs nightmare has been slashed to a mere 2 to 5 hours, thanks to advanced digital clearance systems. For the first time in history, the cost of logistics in landlocked Laos has plummeted by 20% to 40%, while freight costs between Kunming and Thailand have dropped by nearly half. But the real geopolitical earthquake is happening in the surrounding capitals. Witnessing this efficiency, Thailand has stopped being a spectator. The Thai government has recently approved the second phase of its high-speed rail project, a $10 billion investment to link Bangkok directly to this corridor via Nong Khai. They are even racing to build a second friendship bridge across the Mekong, dedicated exclusively to rail, to eliminate the current bottleneck and sync their standard gauge tracks with the Chinese system. However, every miracle has its price. The $6 billion construction cost represents a massive financial weight for Laos, a nation whose debt to GDP ratio has ballooned beyond 100%. The ownership structure is a delicate 70-30 split between Chinese state-owned giants and the Lao National Railway, but the lion's share of the funding, about $3.5 billion, is a loan from the Export-Import Bank of China. Critics call it a debt trap, warning that Laos is balancing on a razor's edge. Yet China views it as high-quality development, a cornerstone of the 15th five-year plan that institutionalizes China's push for regional integration. This is not just a railway, it is a structural axis. It has integrated the Vientiane-Saisita development zone into a global supply chain, attracting industries in healthcare, new materials, and biopharmaceuticals that never thought of Laos as a destination. As the trains race toward 2030, the question remains, is Laos becoming a strategic hub that powers ASEAN, or is it becoming an economic satellite of the Dragon? One thing is certain, the map of Southeast Asia has been permanently altered, and there is no going back. To the average traveler, the Lancong EMU is just a sleek, lime green bullet train, but to an engineer, it is a masterclass in adaptation. These CR200J train sets, specifically the fifth generation introduced for the 2025 to 2026 season, were forced to solve a physics nightmare: how to maintain high-speed stability in a country that is essentially a humid, mountain-strewn greenhouse. Unlike the standard Fuxing models running between Beijing and Shanghai, the Lancong is built with a tropical defense architecture. Engineers from CRRC Pujen and Zhuzhou applied a specialized environmentally friendly paint technique that achieves a mirror-like surface gloss of greater than or equal to 95 GU. This isn't for aesthetics, it's a high-density clear coat, 3 times thicker than the industry standard, designed to repel the corrosive effects of Laos' extreme ultraviolet rays and its relentless monsoon rains that can reach 3,000 millimeters annually. But the real magic happens at the entrance of a tunnel. Remember, this line has 75 tunnels in the Laos section alone. When a train enters a tunnel at 160 kilometers per hour, the air pressure spikes instantly, a phenomenon that can cause severe ear discomfort or even structural fatigue over time. The Lancong is equipped with an active pressure stabilization system. Within milliseconds of sensing a pressure change, automated protection devices seal the cabin's air valves, maintaining a constant internal atmosphere. This allows passengers to sip their Laotian coffee in total silence and comfort while the train pierces through the rock. 1,300 new seats were added to the fleet in early 2025 to meet the exploding demand. Look at the upholstery. It's not just fabric, it's a tapestry of the Dok Champa, the national flower of Laos, woven with Chinese precision. This train doesn't just transport people, it's a high-speed diplomatic mission that runs on 25,000 volts of electricity. While the steel rails provide the path, a digital nervous system provides the safety. This is Southeast Asia's first truly smart railway. Partnering with Huawei and China Railway Electrification Engineering Group, the project installed a full-coverage 5G network across the entire 508-kilometer Chinese section and the 422-kilometer Lao section. But this isn't for streaming movies. It's the backbone of the 4-1's management system. This AI-driven command center uses IoT sensors embedded in the track bed to monitor for the slightest vibration. In the treacherous Udamse province, where landslides are a seasonal reality, these sensors can detect falling debris and trigger an emergency stop signal to the driver's cab long before the train reaches the hazard. High-speed trains continue to run along the tracks, while sensors simultaneously record every aspect of their operation. Facing complex environments and ever-changing weather conditions, China's high-speed rail technology is constantly being tested for reliability. All of this data is precisely recorded. Today, Chinese engineers have never stopped developing new high-speed rail technologies, and in the foreseeable future, even more innovations will be applied to China's vast, independently developed high-speed rail system. At the Mohan land port, technology has killed the customs nightmare. Robotic scanners now check truck undersides in seconds, and shared digital lanes mean drivers stop only once instead of twice. Clearance times for cross-border cargo have plummeted from 40 hours to less than 5 hours, an efficiency leap of 800%. Simultaneously, the project had to answer a critical question: can a mega project be green? The answer lies in 3.07 million square meters of reclaimed vegetation. Chief engineer Huang Daiwen and his Blossom team rejected the idea of using imported seeds. Instead, they spent years working with local villagers in Vang Vieng and Luang Prabang to transplant native seedlings. This ensured that the railway didn't introduce invasive species into the primary forests. Furthermore, for the wild Asian elephants that call the Sichuan-Bana Laos border home, the railway is practically invisible. Engineers built specialized viaducts and 62 kilometers of safety fencing designed to guide elephants towards safe wildlife corridors. By the time we hit the 15th five-year plan in 2026, this beautiful China philosophy has turned the rail line into a continuous ecological promenade, where the carbon footprint of shipping a ton of goods has been reduced by 30% compared to road transport. In global logistics, even a small mismatch can break the entire system. A difference of just 43.5 centimeters means trains can't run across borders. China and Laos use the standard gauge, 1,435 millimeters, but the legacy tracks of Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore use the meter gauge, 1,000 millimeters. Without a solution, Vientiane would have been a dead end. Enter the Thanaleng Dry Port, TDP, a $727 million logistics miracle that serves as the Lao logistics link. Opened officially in December 2021, this facility features a specialized rail transshipment yard. Imagine a massive ballet of steel. A freight train from Kunming arrives on one side, and within minutes, reach stackers and gantry cranes swap thousands of containers onto Thai trains waiting on the other side. This logistical bridge is why Laos's customs revenue from import taxes has trebled in just 3 years. The TDP is the vital organ that connects the Vientiane Seta development zone to the world. By early 2026, the port is handling over $7,000 containers per month, carrying everything from Russian fertilizer to European machinery. On January 3, 2026, we witnessed a historic breakthrough. The first shipment of frozen Thai shrimp from Songkhla traveled through Thanaleng to China in record time, slashing previous sea route transit times by 60%. This is the petiole effect. Just as a petiole connects a leaf to its branch, Thanaleng connects the inland veins of the Asian continent to the global maritime trade routes of the Beibu Gulf and beyond. As Thailand moves toward completing its $10 billion high-speed link to Nong Khai by 2028, this transshipment hub will become the busiest inland port in ASEAN, proving that geography is no longer a destiny, but an opportunity. The story of the China-Laos Railway is not an isolated event. It is the opening movement of a continental symphony. Under the roadmap of China's 15th five-year plan, this corridor is the definitive blueprint for high-quality development. We are seeing the birth of a new professional class in Laos. Look at Somse Lalyu, a 24-year-old who started with zero railway knowledge and now leads a team of 992 Lao railway professionals. He isn't just a driver, he is the face of a nation that has traded its isolation for a seat at the head of the regional economic table. By the end of 2025, the railway has handled over $66 million passenger trips, with $12 million of those on the Lao section alone. This human flow is rebuilding the Indochina corridor into a zone of shared prosperity. As we look toward 2030, the momentum is unstoppable. Malaysia's East Coast Rail Link (ECRL) is pushing past 92% completion, and Thailand is accelerating its high-speed integration. The dream of a seamless journey from the skyscrapers of Beijing to the ports of Singapore is no longer a what if, it is an engineering certainty. Yes, the shadow of $6 billion in debt remains a serious challenge for Laos sovereignty. But the pulse of the Golden Corridor is creating a new reality where landlocked countries are no longer victims of their borders. The dragon hasn't just arrived, it has built the foundation for a 3,000-kilometer artery that will define Asian trade for the next century. From the roof of Indochina to the tropical shores of the South China Sea, the map has been permanently electrified. The prison is gone. The link is eternal. The China-Laos Railway has successfully dismantled a geographic prison, proving that steel and ambition can redraw the map of Asia forever. It is the definitive blueprint for a connected continent. It proved that geography is no longer a limitation, but a variable that can be engineered. From a landlocked nation to the center of a new continental network, this is what happens when infrastructure becomes strategy. But here's the real question. If a single railway can reshape Southeast Asia, what happens when entire oceans are no longer barriers? Because right now, Chinese engineers are attempting something even more extreme. A 123-kilometer tunnel built beneath the sea, a project so ambitious it could redefine global trade once again. Thank you for watching. And if you want to understand the real forces reshaping our world, make sure to subscribe, because this is just the beginning.